The days slipped by gently wrapped in laughter, warmth, and a growing calm. What once felt heavy slowly began to ease. Jungkook was getting better, not all at once, but in small, meaningful ways. His eyes didn't look as tired anymore. His shoulders no longer carried constant tension. Some mornings he even smiled without forcing it. Wan had taken time off from the hospital, choosing to stay by his side without hesitation. She reshaped her days around him, learning his silences, understanding his moods without him needing to speak. When nights turned cruel and nightmares dragged him back into memories he hated, she was there, sitting up with him, holding him close, letting him steady himself in her presence until the shaking stopped. On better nights, she stayed awake until he fell asleep again, her hand resting lightly on his arm, silently promising she wasn't going anywhere. In the mornings, she made sure she ate, sometimes cooking for him, sometimes gently coaxing him when his appetite faded. She reminded him to take his medicines, to take water, to rest, never sounding like a doctor, always like someone who truly cared. And Jungkook noticed. He noticed how she never made him feel broken, how she listened without judgment, how she stayed even when it wasn't easy. When meanwhile was losing a battle she hadn't realized she was fighting. Somewhere between late night talks, shared silences, soft hugs, and small smiles, as her concern turned into attachment, and that attachment quickly deepened into something warmer, something dangerous. She was falling for him, but not suddenly, not dramatically, but in the quietest way possible. That scared her just as much as it comforted her. And now they were at the amusement park, Jungkook's younger sister bouncing with excitement beside them. Look, let's go on this right now. Yes, let's go. Anne chimed happily. She was wearing high neck top tucked into black skirt, a beach long coat over it, and black knee high boots. Simple, elegant, and comfortable, perfect for the day. Jungkook glanced at her once, then quickly looked away. Jungkook nodded, letting Van hold his hand while Yumi clutched onto the other, walking between them, laughing softly as they moved ahead together. Wait here, I'll get the tickets. Van said, already turning to leave. No, I will go. Quietly, his gaze drifted toward the crowd ahead. There's a huge crowd there. He hesitated for a moment, noticing a group of us nearby, their eyes lingering on a passing girls. Van followed his gaze and immediately understood. Fine, Van said softly, understanding him. Why don't we all go together? She suggested, holding Yumi's hand. Jungkook nodded, and Yumi looked at them both as he gently held her hand too. Long line, the crowd thick and restless. That's when it happens. The same boys began pushing past other girls deliberately, hands lingering where they shouldn't, laughter slow and mocking. As the boys' gaze lingered on Yumi, who was dressed just like Wine in a black high-neck top, a red skirt, a dark coat, and knee-high boots, Jungkook shifted to herself. Wine's expression changed instantly. She pulled Yumi closer, shielding her without a word. Then she stepped around to the other side, placing herself where Yumi had standing and looking straight at the boys. She gave them a brief, calm smile, and in the very second, she lifted her foot and delivered a sharp kick right between his legs. The smile vanished, the message landed. Jungkook smiled at her, pride and relief flickering in his eyes. Wine quickly took the tickets and without wasting another second guided them forward, holding Jungkook's hand and Yumi's. She led them toward the roller coaster, away from the crowd, toward laughter, thrill, and a moment that finally felt light again. Behind them, the boys were still bent over, groaning in pain, earning a few confused looks from the crowd. Wine didn't even look once. She just tightened her grip on Yumi's hand and walked ahead, chin lifted as if nothing at all had happened. The three of them quickly got in their seats, the cold metal pressing against their backs. Wine sat in the middle, buckling Yumi in securely before fastening her own belt, while Jungkook took the seat beside them, instinctively leaning closer. The safety bar clicked down with a loud thud, locking them in a place as the ride creaked to life. Yumi's eyes sparkled with excitement. Wine laughed softly to calm her, and Jungkook let out a steady breath, heart racing, but this time not from fear. The ride jerked to life, the tracks rattling beneath them. Instinctively, Wine reached for Jungkook's hands, her fingers lacing with his. He turned to look at her, a teasing smile tugged at his lips despite the rush of adrenaline. Are you afraid? He asked lightly. Yes, she admitted with a soft smile, squeezing his hand just a little tighter as the coaster began its climb. As the ride climbed higher, the world below them shrinking into lights and noise, Wine turned to him, her grip tightening around his hand. Jungkook, I want to say something. everything," she said, her voice barely steady. He looked at her eyes, soft despite the wind rushing past them. "Yes," said, and just as the coaster tipped forward, just as gravity took over and plunged, she screamed into the night, fearless, unfiltered. Her words were carried away by the wind, mixed with laughter, screams, and the roar of the ride. But to Jungkook, they landed louder than anything he'd ever heard. And for the first time, his heart wasn't afraid to fall. His heart was racing wildly, louder than the ride itself, pounding against his chest as if it wanted to escape. For a moment, he forgot about the height, the speed, everything, because all he could hear were her words echoing in his mind. Beside them, Yumi burst into laughter, her excitement bubbling over. Finally, confessed it. She teased loudly, grinning from ear to ear. Once she burned red, her laughter mixing with the rush of the ride, while Jung turned toward her, eyes wide, stunned, and glowing with something he hadn't felt in a very long time, happiness. Jungkook turned to Yumi, disbelief written all over his face. "You knew it, didn't you?" he said, trying to sound annoyed, though the smile betraying him said the otherwise. Yumi only laughed harder, sticking her tongue out teasingly as the ride rushed on, her laughter ringing brighter than the scream around them. Van was still blushing when Jungkook tightened his hold on her hand, his grip firm and warm, silent but full of everything he didn't yet have the words to say. The ride slowly began to lose, a wild twist easing into a gentle roll. The screeches of a mantle softened, the wind died down, and the coaster finally glided back into the station with a long final clang. The safety bars lifted one by one, the rush fading into laughter and shaky breaths as their feet touched the ground again, heart still racing, smiles lingering. For a moment, none of them moved. Anne was still catching her breath, cheeks flushed, eyes bright. He looked at her, really looked at her, like he was seeing the world differently now. Yumi swung her legs happily, completely unbothered. Then Jungkook stood up first, still holding Van's hand. He didn't let go. "You okay?" he asked softly, his thumb brushing over her knuckles. She nodded, smiling. "More than okay." Yumi hopped down between them and grinned. "So does this mean I can call you Hyoung-sunim now?" Wine gasped. Jungkook laughed, an easy, genuine laugh that surprised even himself. "Let's not rush," he said, squeezing Wine's hand again. "But thank you." And as they walked off the ride together, hands linked, laughter following them, something new settled between them. Not fear, not pain, hope. They all returned to Jungkook's apartment, the laughter from the ride still lingering between them. The night quietened up, but warmer than before. Jungkook came out after settling his sister in a room, the door clicking shut softly behind him. Yumi was already asleep, curled up peacefully. Wan stood near the window, holding two warm mugs of coffee, watching him quietly. When he looked up, she offered one to him without a word, just a small, gentle smile that said enough. Silence lingered between them, soft, heavy, unspoken. Jungkook found himself admiring her side profile, the way the light caught on her face, the calm in her expression. Wan, on the other hand, kept her gaze fixed on her coffee, deliberately avoiding his eyes, her fingers tightening slightly around the mug. Finally, Wan looked at him, a mix of shyness and warmth in her eyes. "Don't stare me at like that." "Like what?" Jungkook asked softly, still admiring her, his gaze gentle. Just then, Jungkook stepped closer to her. Wan swallowed, her breath hitching as she looked up at him. "Jungkook," she whispered. "Yes," he whispered back.